my name's Hannah O'Neill, and today I'm here with Sammie Francis, a teacher at Biddeford High School, but she also is a singer in her spare time.
That's right, yes.
Did you always want to be a singer and a teacher, or was it just like...
There is yes. The longer answer is obviously more complicated. Even in high school, I thought that I was going to become a teacher. For a while, I thought I was going to be a history teacher, and then I had these two amazing English teachers, and they sort of motivated me to become one myself. So yes, I kind of always thought, I've always seen myself as being two things, which was a musician and a teacher. And I mean, I grew up performing from a very young age, doing dance and theater and all that. But in terms of a career, I knew that I had to keep playing music, that had to be a part of my life somehow. And I also knew that I really felt like I was meant to be a teacher. Yeah.
So your album is coming out. It's out.
It is out, yes. The Kite in the Shore. It is out, yes. So
What's it called?
It is called The Kite in the Shore, yes. And I guess technically it's my third recording. So when I was 17, I recorded an EP because I won this competition for rock bands in the state of Maine. It's called the Rock Off, and actually a couple kids that I went to high school with dared me to do it, and I was the only girl, and I performed solo with my acoustic guitar and my piano, and I ended up winning it, which was hilarious and awesome. So I won a little bit of money, and that was sort of the push to like make me keep going, that I thought, okay, maybe I can actually do this. So I recorded that down in Martha's Vineyard, which was a really great experience. And then in college, my senior year, I recorded a CD called The Bowden Years in the college chapel. So I never did a big release for that, but it exists. It's a real album. And then this is sort of, this is a big deal. This was all done as as legit and as professionally as possible this time around. So I'm very proud of it, and we just had the CD release show on September 28th, but I will be performing in Maine mostly for the next 2 months straight.
Out of all the tracks on the album, if you had to pick one that's your absolute favorite, what would that be?
Well, obviously they are all very special to me because, I wrote them, but because despite the songs are written from late 2009 to 2013 early, which is a long span of time, but it does feel still incredibly cohesive to me. I think obviously the favorite track would probably be The Kite in the Shore, which is the title track. It's my favorite for a couple of reasons. It was written collaboratively with my partner Max Taylor, and the song is really about how he never met my grandfather. So my grandfather passed away in November 2008, and Max and I had been friends for a long time, but we didn't start, we weren't a couple until the spring of 2009, so they were just obviously two very important people in my life, and I was extraordinarily close with my grandparents, had a really special relationship with them, and was so fortunate for that, but they just they never met, and I think about that a lot. So the song is about that, and Max plays the guitar and I just sing on it, and sometimes that's really nice because you don't have to worry about playing the guitar or playing the piano yourself. So I would say The Kite in the Shore.
What mainly inspired you to write all these songs? Like, is there one thing in common?
So the album is very much about my family, and I would say it's deeply rooted in my family. I mean, the first track is about my father. It's sort of my dad's life story, and this song, The Devil and Richard Gosselin, is a play, of course, on the devil and Daniel Webster, and it was written by my uncle about my other uncle when he graduated from law school. So I found these lyrics in my house when we were cleaning out my grandparents' things after they had both passed away, and I found these lyrics, and he wrote them, sort of as a parody, as a joke, because he's a bit of a poet himself, and I found them, and it was even written with a refrain in the actual lyrics, so I turned that into a song, which was really fun. So I would say the album is very much about family, and certainly it's about processing the death of my maternal grandparents, to whom I was extremely close. So missing them a lot, and it wasn't a conscious thing to make an album that, you know, honored them. And I don't think maybe listening to it would be an obvious connection, but it is there, and it's just sort of what has been on my mind in the past few years.
What inspired you or made you start singing?
I have an older sister, and she and I did a lot of the same activities growing up. I obviously looked up to her so much, and we started dancing. I started dancing when I was 3, and I started playing the piano, depending on who you ask, at either 4 or 5. And so I actually learned how to play the piano before I knew how to read letters, which was really confusing and later became a problem because when I was 7, my mom realized that I was playing totally by ear and memory. So I had to relearn how to do it all because I wasn't really reading the notes, I was just doing it by ear. But I started singing because I was in this dance studio every day, and my mame, my grandmother, was a pianist, and I have a huge family. My mother has 6 brothers, and all the grandchildren learned how to play the piano because of my mame. So I was told that was the one thing that I couldn't quit because I was involved in a lot of stuff. And I'm very grateful for that now because it is such a gift and it's something you can do the rest of your life. And I mean, when I went to college, that's how I met my friends playing in a band, and I did a cappella and chamber choir. So I've really done a lot of different kinds of singing, and then I took voice lessons for a very long time. So even though I play the piano and I taught myself how to play the guitar when I was a 9th grader and have been playing since, but I do consider myself, you know, primarily a vocalist, and that is definitely something I focus on when I am writing.
All your answers, they have to do with family. Are you really close to your family? Like they're your...
Yeah, I mean, I am. I mean, I grew up in Gorham, and I went to Bowdoin, which was in Brunswick. Is in Brunswick, it's still there. And yeah, I'm very close with them, I would say. I mean, my older sister now lives in New York, which is sad because she just had a baby June 1st, and my niece, Grace, so she lives far away, which is hard. But I am really close with them, and I have a ton of cousins, and we, despite being a large family, are very close-knit. And I think the other part of that, Hannah, is that I never knew anyone on my dad's side of the family, so this was like, I never had to like trade holidays and all that sort of stuff. My mom's family was so large, it like more than made up for the fact that I didn't know my dad's side of the family. So I am super close with them, and obviously still living. I live in Portland now, and I see them all the time, and I am very blessed to have a close connection.
If you had to pick 3 words to describe your music, your sound,
I would say acoustic music. I would say acoustic. I would say folk-ish. Folk-ish, and I would say, I mean, I don't know, I recently was told that they were very relatable, which was really nice because I think that that's not a word necessarily to describe the sound, but even though these are about my family, these songs and a lot of, you know, the music you write tends to be about your own experiences, I think everyone, when they listen to it, kind of translates that into a meaning that's, you know, that fits your own life and your own experiences. So that's nice to hear, you know, that even though your own art is sort of for yourself, obviously when you put it out into the world, it becomes available for other people. So it's really nice that people have shared that with me recently. So acoustic, I would say folk-ish because it's not strictly folk. And I mean, I would say it's driven by vocals, you know, by my voice.
To collaborate with anyone, dead, alive.
Oh my God.
Anyone.
Well, obviously, like I sort of, you know, romanticize the period of the 60s and 70s with like Bob Dylan and Neil Young and Joni Mitchell and that whole amazing era where incredible music was happening, and I was raised on that kind of music. And so obviously if I could transport myself back to like the Gaslight and see Bob Dylan play and play with him, that would be totally insane, even though Bob Dylan is, you know, still kicking. But the person I would probably most like to play with would be Laura Marling. She is a British singer-songwriter and English folk singer, and I just think she's one of the best singer-songwriters making music today. I think she's absolutely a genius, and she's just released her 4th album. She's only 23 years old, so incredibly prolific, and I think she's about to record one more and then go do something else for a little while, but she's absolutely remarkable, and she has been a huge influence on my recent writing.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
On your iPod or your iPhone, what are probably the top 5 artists you have played, like, constantly?
Well, that's a complicated question because as a teacher, right, I cannot grade music. I can't grade to any music with lyrics because I will just start singing along. So there's a lot of instrumental music actually that you would find played the most, like the Shakespeare in Love soundtrack has been played countless times because of grading. The Pride and Prejudice soundtrack. So a lot of like really beautiful instrumental music you would find frequently played because of grading and needing to concentrate. Sometimes classical music is too interesting for me to grade to because I find it to be incredibly complex and really interesting, and then I get distracted and think, oh, I used to be able to play that on the piano, but I can't anymore. I would say Josh Ritter is probably an artist who's got a lot of play on my iPod, my little iPod shuffle. Josh Ritter, Laura Marling would definitely be massively played. Perhaps John Mayer, he's really an artist who inspired me when I was 14 and 15 to be writing songs. And I think, I think he's an incredibly talented musician overall as a guitar player. He's unbelievable, and he can play so many different genres of music, which I really admire. And let me think who else would be on there. I think you would find this summer that Blurred Lines got played quite frequently for a little dance party. That was just such a catchy song. So it's a mix. I mean, I think my go-to music is certainly like folk and indie. I love The Fray, I love Ben Folds, I love things like that Regina Spektor that have a piano sound, but I also I like me a good pop song once in a while as well, so I don't shy away from that. Anyway, that was a long answer, Hannah. I'm sorry.
You're not teaching and singing. Is there something else that takes up the majority of your time?
So, right, teaching and music definitely take up most of the time. Teaching is a really super demanding career, and if you're going to do it well, you have to spend, especially in your beginning years, so much of your time. I mean, I think on average I sleep like 4 to 5 hours a night during the school week. It's really crazy, and I don't think unless you are a teacher or you live with one, you really get that. So I love teaching, but it is extremely demanding, but it's the most fun, it's the best job in the world. And that does it's incredibly time consuming, which is why this album was a very long time coming and is finally done, because it all had to sort of, fit in around my career, my first career. But I would say in my spare time, you will catch me watching many TV shows. Like, I just started The Wire to temper the loss of Breaking Bad, which I am obsessed with. I can't believe it's over. So, some really great TV and film. I love watching films, and I love watching great TV, Mad Men and Game of Thrones. I'm a nerd about Middle Earth Club, and I love Tolkien and run this, this after-school club to read The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. I love plunging into those sort of fantasy worlds, Harry Potter, all that good stuff. But I also practice a lot of yoga. You would find me doing that, so that's sort of different, but thank goodness I have it. Usually after school, a long day, I will go to yoga around 4 o'clock and then go home, and I also love to cook. So I'm a busy lady. I am a very busy person, and I've never been very good at just like sitting still. So I think that I am never bored, and I am grateful for that, because I'm not someone to just kind of sit around. And reading, I like to read. I'm an English teacher, so you'll find me reading a lot too.
Do you hope that one day you'll be able to put teaching as a side job and have your music
be sort of the primary career? That's a very interesting question. I don't know. I think if the right opportunity came my way, I mean, the music industry has changed so much. You know, you really have to do everything yourself now. Long gone are the days where you just kind of were discovered or someone offered you a record deal because you had a nice voice. I mean, it just doesn't happen now. You have to be able to record, and you know, it's hard to make money, and so it's a challenging career, and it's one that, you know, doesn't offer sometimes a lot of stability, and that part of it, you know, is difficult. I don't exactly want to be 50, like, on a tour bus in a different city every night. So I don't know what I think my ambitions for my music are to be able to continue to write and to play locally and steadily. That would be really lovely. But I think, I mean, gosh, if Laura Marling was come on tour with me, I think I would quit my job and go do that for a while. But with that said, I absolutely love being in the classroom, and right now it's really exciting to see the two things kind of coexisting side by side, because for a long time when I started, this is my third year teaching, depending on how you look at it, but I couldn't have done this my first year teaching because it just wouldn't have been possible. Too hard. But I'm getting to a point where I can balance them both, and it's certainly a balancing act, and obviously during the summer I have a lot more time to focus on it. So right now it feels pretty good.